Hello and welcome. Today we're gonna talk about the last Soviet heavy tank ever, the T-10. The heavy tank series of the Soviet Union started with the KV series in 1939, evolved into the IS series in 1943, and ended with the IS-10, also known as the T-10. The T-10 was the last Soviet heavy tank to be produced by the Soviet Union and was introduced in the Soviet Army in 1953 during the Cold War. An estimate of 1,439 T-10s were produced after World War II. During production, it was called Object 730 or IS-8, but IS stood for Joseph Stalin, and since Stalin had passed away, it was renamed T-10. The T-10 was a Soviet heavy tank which, according to varying sources, was in service from 1954 to 1996. It weighed 52 tons and had a crew of 4, a commander who simultaneously served as a radio operator, a gunner, a loader, and a driver. The T-10 had up to 270mm thick armor and was equipped with a 122mm D-25TA gun as well as two 12.7mm heavy machine guns. The armament varies though from different T-10 versions. There was the normal T-10, then different variants, mainly the T-10A, B, and M. The T-10 was not known to have been provided to Warsaw Pact countries. However, Soviet tank regiments which were stationed in those countries may have been equipped with them. However, some Western sources claim that the T-10 was exported to China, Egypt, and Syria and was used in the Yom Kippur War to provide long-range support to their T-55s and T-62s. They also claim that the T-10 knocked out several Israeli M48 patents while no T-10 was lost, but according to Wikipedia, the T-10 might have been mistaken for its predecessor, the IS-3 heavy tank. Now, why was the T-10 the last Soviet heavy tank? Well, that's because there was no need for heavy tanks anymore. In the 1960s, the new concept of a main battle tank was developed in the Soviet Union, which saw the creation of a general-purpose tank. So there was no separation needed anymore between light, medium, and heavy tanks. Any further developments of the T-10 or any heavy tank series were cancelled in 1966. So the T-10 ended up being one of the tanks which never saw battle. After the introduction of the T-64, which had similar level of protection as well as a better main weapon at lower weight, the Soviets officially saw heavy tanks as just about useless and ended their production in favor of lighter vehicles. In the late 1960s, the independent tank battalions with heavy tanks were re-equipped with the higher technology T-64s and later with the T-80. Regular tank and mechanized units received the more basic T-55s and T-72s. The production of the T-10 officially stopped in 1966. Another reason why heavy tanks were not needed anymore was because the Soviet Union got to see the drawbacks of heavy tanks during the final push to Berlin during World War II, in which mechanized divisions widely split up because the slow heavy tanks lagged behind while the lighter and faster T-34s were already way ahead. Even though the Soviets got to see the disadvantages of heavy tanks, they continued to produce them for a few years as part of the Cold War arms race, but in the end, the T-62s took over the production lines as they were better than the T-10 as main battle tanks. Since there were no heavy tanks in use anymore, the Soviets needed a replacement for their long-range firepower on the battlefield, so they decided to start using anti-tank guided missiles or ATGMs. They first used ATGMs on the BMP-1 and later on the T-62 and other main battle tanks. Anyways, that was all I had to say about the Soviet Union's last heavy tank. If you think I said anything that is not right or you think I should have added any additional information to this video, please let me know in the comments and share your knowledge. Besides that, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.
Artillery strike incoming!